Welcome back, True Seeker. July 17th, 2018. The big news story today, the same as what it was yesterday, the Trump Putin meeting and press conference. And today in the media, they're calling Trump Putin's Poodle. And if you saw the press conference, it's a fitting nickname. You know, Trump stood there and acted like a little sheepdog and talked as if he was this sad, depressed man in the shadow of something greater. And I don't know how anyone could summarize it any differently. You know, Trump likes to act like the big bad man when he's talking about women, and it seems that when he's shoulder to shoulder with other men, he acts like a scared little boy. And that's exactly what it was yesterday. Keep in mind, all of this stuff is a puppet show. Donald Trump is playing his part as the actor in chief. That is what the presidency of the United States of America is. It is a role, it is an act, it is an ongoing theater production. And Donald Trump playing the exact character that I said he would play before he was even the president. You know, February 2016, I explained why it made sense for him to be the next president, how he'd be this divisive character, how he'd bring about planned chaos. Again, Freemasonry controls the show, and the motto is order out of chaos. If you missed my blog post on why the Trump-Putin meeting and press conference happened yesterday, you got to check that out. We're going to go over it in this video. What I showed yesterday is how it was a perfect Masonic ritual on that specific date, July 16th. And today's headlines calling Trump Putin's Poodle further proves what I said yesterday and what I've been educating about for 5 years. The New World Order, the Illuminati, what it is the Masonic alliance worldwide of powerful people. People who control media, government, industry, banking. Freemasonry. It's the glue. So let's look at this. Putin's Poodle. Anytime the media emphasizes a word or set of words, it's because there's gematria behind those words. Gematria is the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. Originally, it took place in Hebrew. The practice originally comes from the Hebrew alphabet. It is also a part of the English language. This is a secret language that's important to Freemasonry and Jewish Kabbalists. So, the phrase Putin's Poodle, what you're looking at here in case you're new are the 4 base ciphers. The green on the left, the dark green, that's the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z, the 26th letter is 26. The dark blue is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So the difference is the first letter in Putin's Poodle is 16. Or P, excuse me. P is the 16th letter. The first letter has a numerical value of 16. U is the 21st letter, so U has a numerical value of 21. That's in the green cipher. In the dark blue cipher, instead of P being 16, you take the numerology of 16. So 1 plus 6 is 7, so P is 7. Instead of U being 21 in the blue cipher, it becomes 2 plus 1 is 3, so U is 3. And so on. You make each letter a single digit number. And then the reverse, the lime green, that's just the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1, up to A is 26. And the reduction is the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Your base 4 ciphers. Words that have relationships have major overlap in these ciphers. Notice Putin's Poodle and Freemasonry are a perfect overlap in 3 of the 4 ciphers. And notice the relationship between secret society and Putin's Poodle. You know, overlap perfectly in 2 of the base ciphers, plus some other connections there. So, with regards to the dark blue cipher, it is probably the most significant of the 4 ciphers. And I've taught this since I began in 2013. If there's one cipher you really want to know, it's this dark blue one. And perfect overlap in all 3, Putin's Poodle, Freemasonry, and Secret Society with the dark blue. And with regards to Trump, which is the focus of this story, Trump is Putin's Poodle, Don't forget that he is the winner, and I say that with an asterisk, with quotations, of the 58th U.S. presidential election, which is really a selection because every presidential election is rigged and scripted by this code, just as I showed was true of Trump before he became president. Trump was the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election. He celebrated the 58th U.S. presidential inauguration as well. He hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray to lead those ceremonies. And don't forget, he announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. When Hillary put out her book about why she lost the rigged election, it was called What Happened, which equals 58 in the dark blue cipher as well. Not coincidentally. Very special number to Freemasonry, very special number to this code, number that gets used again and again ritualistically. So Putin's Poodle, you know. Now with regards to the actual meeting and press conference, which happened yesterday, July 16th, I want you to see this. From Trump's birthday, June 14th, to the date of the meeting and press conference was his 33rd day of his age. 33, very special number to Freemasonry. Comes from the belief called Kundalini. Kundalini is about the spiritual ascension up to 33 vertebrae. Guess what? Kundalini equals 58 in the base ciphers. About the 33 vertebrae within the human being and spiritual ascension up those 33 vertebrae. In the base ciphers, Masonry equals 33. So does secrecy, so does order, so does federal. Washington, D.C., named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. So anyway, Trump's 33rd day of his age, he meets with Putin. With regards to Putin, the meeting came a span of 84 days from his upcoming birthday this year. And look at Masonry in the base ciphers, 33 and 84. Also, with regards to the 39, this meeting was July 16th, 16/7, like 167, which is the 39th prime number. What a day for a meeting. And if you saw their press conference, where Putin spoke like a man and Trump acted again like a shy little boy, the first thing they talked about was Israel and keeping Israel safe. Now understand, once upon a time, the greatest villain in the history of recorded history, Adolf Hitler, he told the world that within Masonic lodges is where some people within Jewish communities were conspiring against the rest of humanity. Freemasonry is based in the Old Testament, the Jewish portion of the Bible. These two world leaders from two of the most military nations there are began their speech with Israel and keeping Israel safe. And they talked about Syria. These are two nations that are bombing Syria, the United States and Russia. Notice the overlap with Zionism and Masonry, a perfect match in 3 of the 4 base ciphers. Zionism, what is it? The belief that Jewish people are more important than everyone else, essentially. It's essentially what Zionism is. Israel is the Zionist nation. And with regards to the one area where there's not overlap, Zionism and Masonry, keep in mind the word Freemason in the same cipher is 42. So was Holocaust, so was World War. The Holocaust began in 42, which was part of the narrative of establishing Israel, the Zionist nation. And if you go back in history, the First World War, the reason the United States of America joined the war effort was after the Balfour Declaration, where it was promised that Israel, the Zionist nation, would be delivered if the U.S. fought against Germany. That was before Adolf Hitler. That's the part of U.S. history that they leave out of the history books. They just teach people about World War II and Adolf. They don't teach you about how World War I was about fighting against Germany and establishing Israel. So No coincidence here. Everything in the world is done by perfect ritual. And you can see how deep these rituals are by seeing how this stuff happens again and again by the same numerical code. It shows that these people are chosen. They're birthed accordingly. Their entire lives are planned out for these planned rituals. It's not a coincidence that it lines up perfectly. Putin 84, Trump 33 from their birthdays. It's because it's all planned, long in advance. You know, two nations with red, white, and blue flags, the favorite colors of Masonry. Speaking of the same numbers, look at the day Donald Trump met with Queen Elizabeth, where he also got criticism for walking in front of her, standing in front of her. They said he had no class. You know, I'm not disagreeing, but I understand that Trump's an actor. He plays the part of a scumbag. He makes the United States of America look like a nation of morons, just as he's supposed to do. You know, sadly in the United States of America, a major portion of our population are morons. And more often than not, you find them, you know, supporting the Red Party, the Republican Party, you know. Most of us thought the president couldn't ever be any dumber than George W. Bush, the last Republican president, until we got Trump. And it's not a coincidence. You know, both parties are bankrupt, they're complete frauds, they're completely controlled by Freemasonry. No one should support either. But the Republican Party, you know, they appeal to the lower common denominator. You know, the dumbest amongst us. And that's not debatable. That's just fact. George W. Bush, Donald Trump, I mean, you got to be really dumb to not see how them even being installed in the presidency shames us all. And believe me, I'm no Obama supporter either, but at least he could formulate a sentence. You know, at least he didn't embarrass you every time he went before the television screen. Anyway, from the Queen's birthday to her meeting with Trump was on the 84th day. Again, Masonry 84. Same with United States of America 84. You know, if you ever read that book 1984, there's a reason Orwell chose that year 84. He was a member of the Fabian Society, a Masonic order established in 1884 out of the UK. And let's also not forget that this wasn't the first time there was a ritual with Trump and the Queen by the numbers. When Donald Trump's GOP convention began back in 2016, the date was July 18th. From the Queen's birthday to July 18th was 88 days after. 88 days after. The name Trump with the alphabetic order's 88. The name Elizabeth with the alphabetic order's 88. And remember, Trump came out and introduced himself at that convention to the song Queen, We Are the Champions. We Are the Champions equals 84, you know? But think about it. British band, Queen. Trump comes out 88 days after her birthday to Queen. The royal family, completely Masonic. And across the world, the people large and in charge, they're connected through bloodlines to the royal family, you know, to these important people from history. So anyway, 84 days from the Queen's birthday, she meets the President of the United States of America, Masonic ritual. Even more. I should also mention with regards to 88, London equals 88, so does Masonic ritual. Back in 2016, Trump came out to Queen 88 days after the Queen's birthday. But further, when he met with the Queen, the date was July 13th, 2018, just days ago. That was a date with 58 numerology. 7 plus 13 plus 20 plus 18 equals 58. And look in the base ciphers. Queen of England, 58. London, England, 58. Freemasonry, 58. Secret Society, 58. Again, meeting with the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election. Remember when Prince died on the Queen's birthday? Purple Rain equals 58. Prince had the song from Purple Rain, I Would Die For You, and he spelled it with the number 4 and the letter U. For You is 4/21, the date he died, the Queen's birthday. See how it goes? Prince, Queen, rituals. They lit up Niagara Falls purple. Purple with the alphabetic order equals 88. Vanity, who died just before Prince, was from Niagara. I called Prince's death before it happened based on her ritualistic death before the 58th Grammys. She died February 15th, 2016, before the 58th Grammys. These same numbers used again and again because they're so important to Freemasonry. Purple Rain came out in the year 84. See how it goes? You see how it goes? Also, July 13th, 13/7, that's like 137, which is the 33rd prime number. Washington, D.C. equals 137. So does government, so does authority, so does White House. You know, the Queen meeting with the man from the White House. 137 is the 33rd prime. England equals 33, like Masonry, like secrecy, like order, like federal. All of these in our base ciphers. Alphabetic order forwards and back, plus the rules of numerology. And also on July 13th, that was the day that Mueller did the indictment against Russia. You know, this federal news, always by the numbers. Understand, you learn this code, you can see through the propaganda and why it happens every single day in the media. Everything Mueller does, by the code. Everything, every government official from the federal Masonic city-state, Washington, D.C., everything that makes the media from that location is by this code, no exceptions. Since today's July 17th, just want to give you a little bit more of a lesson of the relevance of this code. Again, this code's biblical. Notice New World Order has Gematria of 177 in the base ciphers. You can break that number up into 17 and 7. 17 is the 7th prime number, and prime number relationships are huge. The word Mason equals 17. Remember, modern Freemasonry began in 1717 in London, England. To be a Mason, you have to believe in God. God has Gematria of 17. So does the word El, E-L, which is a name of God from the Old Testament. Again, a lot of this code from the Old Testament. Mason, God, both 17. The Mason symbol is the capital G with a compass and a square. Instruments of geometry. And notice, G is the 7th letter. Mason 17. 17 the 7th prime. G 7. You know, wouldn't the Freemason logo have an F in the middle of it? No, it has a G for a specific reason. Again, Masonry is invested in this code of letters and numbers known as Gematria, which means geometry in language. Instruments of geometry in their logo, a G, which substitutes as a number. You have to believe in God. The Masons are into the Bible. God created the world in 7 days. G, the 7th letter, the first letter in the name God. Freemasonry in Hebrew and in English also has a numerical value of 59 in the base ciphers. 59 is the 17th prime number. And with regards to New World Order, which is a Masonic alliance, the only numbers that divide into 177 are 1 and 177 and 3 and 59. This number divisible by 59. Again, it's all mathematics with Freemasonry. You want to know your prime numbers, you want to know your triangular numbers, and you also want to know what numbers divide into each number. You know those things, you can gain greater relevance of where the significance of these numbers comes from. Also, understand the English language was established as a 26-letter alphabet at the same time the Gregorian calendar was rolling out in the world. And the English alphabet and the Gregorian calendar have perfect alignment. Everything is synced up with the way the months and days are, and so much more. It's a lot to explain, but just understand, using the base ciphers, Gregorian equals 58, so does calendar, so does zodiac, so does alphabetic. Again, Freemasonry, secret society, a lot of Masonry secrets in Solomon's temple, which equals 58. Biblical also 58. And there's a whole lot more to that list. which I uncover in the opening chapters of the book I wrote, which I need people to go out and support. Spent 5 years writing this book, and so far the response from the people willing to buy it has been underwhelming, to say the least. Major disappointment. I thought a lot more people would support the book. I honestly thought when I released it, I'd easily sell 1,000 copies in the first week. And, the book's been out for months now, and we've just recently eclipsed 500 sales. We're now approaching 600. We're at 596 sales. I only make $4.40 per sale. So, and again, this isn't about money, but for me to do this work, I have to be able to pay my own bills. For years, I was able to do it for free because I was just using up my savings month after month, paying all my own bills with all the money I'd saved up from working hard earlier in my life, And I finally exhausted all those sales. I had to go work for Uber and Lyft temporarily to boost some income to pay the bills. And working for Uber and Lyft's not so bad in Seattle. If you work hard, you can make $2,000 a week, which is what I was doing. But I don't live in Seattle anymore. I had to move, and where I've moved to, you can't do Uber or Lyft. It doesn't exist here. So I have to find a way to make income again. And I'm hoping that, people are going to come through and support this work and invest in the book. I've priced the book at $5, not because it's worth $5, but because I want everyone to be able to afford it. And I feel like there's a million people out there who could easily benefit from this book. And I know there's a million people out there who can afford $5. And if this book sold 1 million copies, I could live on that for the rest of my life, honestly, and do this work for the rest of my life. I've always lived modestly. If all of a sudden I had millions of dollars in my bank account, I wouldn't go change my lifestyle. It's not like I'd show up, big diamond earrings, necklace, fancy car. It would never be like that. I would just say, okay, now I have the resources to do this work, to pay my bills. Now I can start doing things I've wanted to do. Go out and travel. And when I say travel, I mean travel to where these, false flags take place. I want to be on the street in front of the news cameras, speaking to people on the street about what's really going on there. Why this false flag happened the day it happened? Why this latest school shooting happened? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go to the sports championships, stand on the street, teach people about how rigged the games are, how they can get ahead of the game and what the score is going to be before the thing's even played. You can do all of that with this knowledge. That's what we've been doing for years. We just need to get it on a bigger stage. We need to get it on a bigger platform. And, with the book out there and a chance for people to support $5 at a time, it's possible. So that concludes this video. Thank you for supporting Gematria Effect News. If you're not subscribed below, you better subscribe. You better also find the channel Gematria Effect Sports. You want to be tuned into these channels. Lots of important videos coming. I'm going to do this work as much as I can. But it's looking like I'm going to have to find a job out here. Problem is, I'm living in the sticks. There's not a lot of employment opportunities. And my mom might get her wish. I think the best job in this town is working for the post office. So if you guys want to help me not have to deliver mail to make ends meet, you can support that book. I'm going to link where you can get it down below. It's just $5. It's going to be the best $5 you ever spent. 773 pages of very important information. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.